Hello, everyone. Well, we are talking of multitude of different things for women going through perimenopause and menopause, anger, relationships, sexual healing, all of the above. And to talk about this very sensitive topic today, we have one of the leading sexologist, relationship expert who has been featured in multiple media companies is Veronica Monet with me. Thank you so much for joining me today.
I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So walk us through what women go through. And you and I were chatting earlier, across the cultures, women's experiences are quite constant in some respect, which is a little bit disturbing, right? If you think about it.
Well, it is. And if we don't, so we talk about it kind of in isolation, like maybe one woman will admit that she was sexually assaulted. Maybe another woman will admit that she was molested as a child. And another woman might admit that she was harassed at work or passed over for a promotion or something like that. But if you put it all together and you think of us as a community, the women of this world as a community, we are all dealing with a similar dynamic, which is that our bodies are made problematic in the dominant cultures around the globe. So it doesn't really matter if in one culture, maybe you're being required to cover up your body, but in another one, you are feeling like it has to look a certain shape or size. And then it's sexualized. It's either taboo or it's being marketing, and it's being used in a way where it's never really your own. And I think what happens when women go into perimenopause and menopause is that they start to realize they want to be in charge of their lives. And they're tired of being sexually harassed. They are maybe really fed up with having sex that doesn't fulfill them, doesn't work for them. But there can be a little bit of confusion because I've seen so many women in my practice who basically just say, well, sex isn't for them. And to me, that's really sad because we're all born sexual. Every living being has some form of sexuality. All you got to do is look outside at the flowers in your garden. They are sexually reproducing. So we don't need to reproduce anymore when we stop producing eggs, but our body is still very sexual. And there's two things that happen to a woman's physiology. One is that for some women, I'd say a lot of women, there's a little bit of vaginal atrophy because the hormones are changing. And that can be remedied with some topical estriol if you want to go that route. But it's also okay to just decide that part of your body is not something that you really are all that interested in anymore. It's entirely up to the woman, and every woman should be empowered to make that choice. Another thing that's kind of interesting is that the clitoris, which is the only bodily appendage on the planet that is purely for pleasure, that actually starts to grow bigger as you age. So your body's actually saying, I want to be more sexual. I want to have more pleasure and more sensuality. Now is the time to make that on your terms, to make sure that you are having great boundaries, a good communication skill. And one of the things that really helps is to really start to get to know your body if you haven't already. Get out a mirror, take a look at it, touch your body, I teach my clients a sexual meditation, which is just them holding their heart and holding their yoni in a very reverential, meditative way and breathing into it. Get in touch with the anger that you might feel about having been violated or pressured or shamed, and get in touch with your own authentic desire because it's there. But sometimes we have to kind of crawl through some trauma, some anger, and some hurts to get to it. But if you do get to it, there's some beautiful things that can happen when you are sexually sovereign. And sexuality is your creativity, it's your spirituality, it's your life force. It's what keeps you vibrant and alive. And it doesn't have to be about sex with other human beings. It doesn't even have to be about orgasms. It's about tapping into that amazing chi.
I think that's beautiful the way you described it. Now the thing is, all this is interconnected, right? Because you talked a little bit about the vaginal atrophy, and that has a role on the anger and mood swings, right? And also relationship. Because do you want to comment a little bit on
Yeah,
vaginal
I,
atrophy?
it's really, we have such a cultural lens. And when I say culture, I'm talking about the Western dominant culture. We're looking at a woman always through the lens of the male gaze. So is she of reproductive age? Is she beyond reproductive age? Is she sexually attractive? Is she not conforming to society standards about beauty? Whatever those lenses are, they're never about what does she want? What does she feel? And I think that sometimes when women are going through those hormonal changes, one of the things that happens is that they start to get in touch with their anger and they start to feel like they want life on their terms. Finally, it's not about pleasing their husband or their boyfriend. It's not about pleasing the world. It's not about raising their kids and devoting their life just to the benefit of their children. They want to have a life for their own now. And yeah, some people might think that she's grumpy or moody. I think she's just rising into her independence and finding her voice. That's the lens I like looking through. Is good for you. You don't want to put up with that anymore. You're getting more clarity on what it is you want in your life. This is a great time for women to start a new hobby or a new business. It's a great time to take up a new sport. It's to really branch out and become adventuresome and do the things that maybe you weren't able to do because you were raising your children, if you had children. So I look at it as a rebirth, as a time to be rising into a beautiful new incarnation of yourself. And like all rebirths, we're shedding the old stuff. We're saying goodbye to that. But it's just a brand new phase of life. Could be the most creative, powerful, expressive stage of your life if you decide to let it be.
Yeah, no, I think that's beautiful. And the other thing, fact is that, a lot of women, depending on the cultures, are getting early menopause, right? In their 40s. So now, and overall lifespan is increasing, right? We're living longer, like mid 80s. So now you could be spending half of your life in this phase.
It's so true. And to have this attitude that somehow or another women are irrelevant after a certain age, we're like missing half of women's lifetimes. So because women are, like you just pointed out, which was a brilliant observation, women are living about twice as long as their reproductive years. So they've got tons and tons of years where they are basically have this potential to be this really powerful, wise voice that's influencing the culture, that is shaping the world, and that is really contributing creatively to our humanity and our human culture. And what a great loss that would be if we lost that. I like to have female role models that are always older than me, and I just really want to encourage any woman that's watching this right now, regardless of your age, and you may not be close to perimenopause yet, although we've had some interesting shifts in the hormonal tableau, if you will. So we've got, like, some women are starting to get symptoms in their 30s. So it's just, don't let that disturb you. Take good care of your health, but really focus on finding your empowerment, your authentic voice. And I think one of the other things that you and I are not talking about overtly right now, but we really need to call this out, is the fear of aging. So, where men get character, women are seen as just getting old. And that's really such a theft of our lives, of our personal power. And it's also cheating society of so many contributions that have worth and have value. So we need to get ourselves out there more. We need to always have a role model who's about 20 years older than you. That's really a recommendation that I have. I like looking at women who are out there changing the world and doing creative things. That may not be your thing. Maybe what your dream is to, write poetry and grow beautiful gardens. And that's perfectly okay too. Whatever it is, just so long as it's an authentic expression of yourself and you're celebrating you. I think we don't celebrate ourselves enough, to just really love these precious bodies. One of the things that I want to share, and I know we don't have a lot of time, but I just think this is so important. The cisgender female body is the portal to life. This is where life comes from. And even if you've never actually given birth to a child, there's still something really special about that as far as I'm concerned. Just knowing that a womb and breasts have this capacity for regeneration, I feel that it says something about our capacity to conjure and to create. And if nothing else, hopefully it's just a way to reject some of the overlay that we get culturally that tries to shame us for being too fat, too thin, too tall, too short, too young, too old, too whatever. We need to stop that and just really start celebrating our diversity. So, and I don't want to exclude my my trans sisters at all. But sometimes I do need to talk about cervixes and ovaries. Yeah. But all of us, regardless of gender, really need to be freed from some of the stereotypes that are oppressing us. But today we're talking about perimenopause, and that happens if you got ovaries.
The funny thing is, this morning on today's show, there was Naomi Watts talking with Hoda, and she was talking about menopause today, and she's saying, "Oh, I'm talking from head to veg. Am I allowed to say veg?" And she's got this company that sells all kind of products, from vaginal gels to all kind of things related to perimenopause and menopause. So we are talking, there is a talk that's happening in the media now that is open.
Yeah, it's just the only thing that I want to say. So I use, because I'm postmenopausal, I use a topical estriol to keep my vagina all nice and pink and perky like she's 17. But that's a choice. And I just really want to suggest that we don't have to be vaginal centric. Clitorises are awesome. And we don't have to try to keep the vagina lubricated so that somebody else can derive pleasure from it. I see that too much in my female clients. They're all really thinking about their husbands and boyfriends and whether or not they are going to get the pleasure that they want. And I just really want to encourage women. It's like, this is the time for you to decide what you like. I happen to like intercourse. I do. I love penises. So that's me. But there's lots of people who don't feel that way. And we need to respect that. And I don't like it when the cultural narrative is shaped by vaginal lubrication. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, this is beautiful the way you described it. This is a quick 10-minute session that we bring on a daily basis. Any last thoughts before we wrap up today?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, there are all kinds of people on this planet. There's intersex people, there's trans people, there are people who are identified with the gender that they were born with. I want to just respect and honor that not everybody even has just a penis and or a vagina. There are some people born with both. And that's another thing we never talk about. There's a lot of diversity on this planet, in humans, but also in animals. So whatever you have in your, between your legs, what matters most is what's in your heart. And finding a connection between what's between your legs and in your heart is really key to freeing yourself from all the baggage of shame and what I can't term as anything other than oppression.
And I love your website. You want to share your website name, because the website name says it all.
Yes, please come over to theshamefreezone.com. You can also get there by shamefreezone.com or veronicamonet.com. I've got all of those domains pointing in one direction. I've got a free ebook there, which talks about my 5-step exquisite partnership formula and perfect timeouts for couples, and a really cute game that couples can play called Show Me Your Movie. And then there's lots of videos and articles, and I hope you find it informative. And if it have other questions, reach out to me through the website too.
Thank you so much for being with me. Everyone, keep supporting us. We're coming up with a lot of programs. Thank you.
This was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Same here. Bye-bye now. Thank you.